Hey out there, legal warriors. What happens if a permanent protection order or restraining order is granted against you? Number one, what do I mean by permanent? And what happens? What things do you need to worry about? What are the pitfalls? How do you get rid of the order? These are all very important questions. And if you're interested in this area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. Now, as always, I'm just going to jump right into it. I sound like a broken record, but in Washington State, civil restraining orders are technically called protection orders. And that means that a petitioner, a human out there in the world, not the government, is saying, I want protection from some other person out there in the world. And the law that covers this is under Revised Code of Washington, RCW 7.105. If you want to look it up yourself, there's a bunch of different types of restraining orders that people can get against other people: domestic violence, harassment, sexual assault, all types of orders of a certain nature. And there's a temporary order that gets issued one-sided ex parte, where the restrained person doesn't get any say. They just get served with this restraining order. And then there's a hearing where they show up, the respondent can, to argue against a permanent order being issued. And that's what the legal term is a permanent order. Now, on the petition, it's going to say, the petitioner is going to say if they want the order for 1 year or more than 1 year. A 1 year order is called a permanent order, even though it's only 1 year. The word permanent just distinguishes it between the temporary order, an order that got issued ex parte, one party was there only, and a permanent order, an order that was issued after a hearing. Permanent does not refer to the length of the order. Well, that's what it sounds like. It affirms that really describes an order issued after a hearing where everybody had an opportunity at least to be heard. So in this video, we're talking about what it is you need to worry about if unfortunately you've had a permanent order of some length, 1 year or longer, issued against you. What do you need to worry about? What are the pitfalls? How do you get rid of the order? Those type of things. So the first thing you need to worry about if you've been issued a permanent order is to see what the terms of the order are, right? Oftentimes they're going to be pretty close to what the temporary protection order was, the one you got served with out of the blue, and you go, what is this, right? So you need to read that thing. And what do you want to look out for? Well, you want to look out for, did it order possession of a certain property be given to someone else? Like, if this was a marriage, who gets temporary custody of the car? Who gets temporary custody of Spark, the pet dog? I had a Schnauzer growing up named Spark. That one's for you. As far as other things you might see on there, has there been any treatment ordered, right? Did they order domestic violence treatment? If it was a King County Superior Court order, they probably did, right? If it's a district court order, maybe it's less likely. This is just my experience out there in the system. Did they order mental health treatment? What did they order? And if they did order something, you definitely want to talk to an attorney if you don't have one to figure out how you do it, should you even do it, and if you are going to do it, where you should do it, and if you choose not to do it, what are the possible consequences to you of not doing it? You also need to pay attention to, was a weapon surrender ordered? If you have to surrender weapons, they don't mess around with that, right? You can't be having weapons if they ordered to not surrender weapons, so you need to take a look at that. So pitfalls in these situations are making a mistake, right? Making a mistake, and all of a sudden now you violated this permanent order, and now you get arrested. And if you violate one of these orders, it's a whole new thing. It's a criminal action that can and will be filed against you if you're not just put in jail from the police investigating it and arresting you for a violation. So if you made a mistake, you accidentally texted someone back, you liked something on Instagram from the protected party, or you ran into them in the grocery store, right? Get a hold of an attorney. And what do, Lance? Let's say you do run into them in public. Let's say that you're already at the Taco Bell and you're enjoying your wonderful meal, and you only started that Taco Bell, and in comes the petitioner, and you have a restraining order that says I have to be 1,000 feet away from the petitioner. You were there first, right? Can you stay? No, you can't stay. You got to go. You got to pick up that Nacho Bel Grande and get out, right? You've got to take that with you. And if the petitioner sees you there and calls the police, you're likely going to avoid arrest if you could say, look, I was there. I didn't know they were going to be there. I left. If you stand your ground, go ahead, call the police, and you stay there and the police show up and you didn't leave, you're getting arrested. And now you've got a charge. So that's a pitfall that we will be inconvenienced if we get served with an order. Even if we're there first, if they show up, we're going to have to leave. Now, if they come pounding on your door, that's a sort of a different story. You don't have to leave your own home in most cases, right? You need to consult an attorney to make sure about your particulars if it's an unusual situation. But what I want you to do is not make a mistake. I want you to avoid that so we don't have an arrest and a whole new problem to deal with. Another pitfall that we can see is, encouraging and continuing the dispute in some way with others. Let's say it's a 1-year order, right? If it's a 1-year order, that means the order is going to expire in 1 year, right? Well, maybe not. If you've seen our other videos, how to renew a restraining order is one of our videos. It's as easy as child's play to renew an order. In my opinion, as a legal professional in this area, it's not unheard of to make a statement that, hey, they might be able to renew that order forever if they put in the effort, because they can put in a request to renew the order, and they don't have to prove anything. They don't have to prove any type of harassment. It's up to the respondent, your side, to prove 2 things: a change in circumstances, which is really hard to do. That's a legal term of art, and most of the things that you want to argue, you're not allowed to argue. You can't say there's been no violation. I moved away 500 miles. All those things aren't even allowed to be considered. And you also sort of have to show that whatever, let's say it's a domestic violence order, you have to, or a harassment order, either way, you have to show acts of harassment and a harassment order are not likely to re-happen if the order's allowed to expire, or acts of domestic violence won't re-happen if the order's allowed to expire. Very, very difficult to beat a renewal. That's why I don't want like a bunch of, strife still going on between families or with, friends. I'm still mad at this person. There's lots of different situations where we can try to tone it down. And so the petitioner doesn't feel any need to renew the order when it comes up for a renewal. Some of those little snarky things we might do or that may end up costing us in the long run with this order lasting longer. And in certain counties on renewal, they might renew it for life. I've seen an order just yesterday get issued until the petitioner was 100 years old. I think it was renewed till 2083. So that's a long time. And what I don't want you to do is make the mistake of, because we feel righteous and upset about something, continue in some type of conflict amongst friends and family that know both of you. Please try to avoid that. How do we get rid of the order? Well, the first way to get rid of the order is we behave perfectly and let it expire. That's one way. Secondly, you can make a motion to try to terminate an order early, but also the burden of proof is on us, and they use basically the same standards for renewal. So if you've got a particularly long protection order issued against you, there's going to be some hard work that you're going to need to do if you want to try to get that order terminated early, and it's going to be disfavored. You might have to admit to some wrongdoing. You might have to do some classes. You're going to want to talk to an attorney about your specific situation so that attorney can think, is it realistic that you should put in the effort to try to terminate the order early? And what else we have to consider is, what is the nature and culture of the court involved? What is that court likely to do? What does the court want to see? And that's why we need to go to an attorney that's experienced in the area so they have some type of gut feeling or a knowledge, so you don't waste your time and money, because it is an uphill battle, but the statute does allow the respondent to move at certain point in the case to try to have the order modified or terminated. Modification may be easier, but it is still hard. So what happens to that order after the hearing? Well, you're going to get a copy of it. You're going to hang on to it. It's going to get communicated to law enforcement, okay? It's going to go into a law enforcement database. And let's say that it's a man and woman thing. Let's say the respondent's a man, the petitioner's a woman. Just be aware that there's going to be some annoying things that may happen. If you're traveling, Mr. Man who's restrained, if you're traveling with a woman and you get pulled over for an infraction, or if you cross an international border where your name is checked, typically not in state, if they see that there's a party of the same gender that could be the protected party that's traveling with you, they're going to stop and ask some questions about that order. They're going to want you to identify yourself. They're going to want the female in this hypothetical to identify herself. And so there can be some situations that's going to be annoying, it's going to be inconvenient. And please, 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 if the petitioner is saying, hey, I want you back, and I've dropped the order, don't believe them, right? You need to see the orders dropped. I've had multiple cases in my career where the respondent was told the order no longer existed, both on the civil side or on the criminal no contact order. And the next thing you know, the order still existed, and now the guy or the gal, if it's a restrained woman, they're getting arrested, and it's not a defense. It is not a defense to say they told me the order didn't exist anymore. It might be something we can argue in mitigation, and a really good prosecutor may consider that, but it is absolutely 100% not a legal defense. Whew, covered a lot here. So if you get served with that permanent protection order is issued against you, read it. Remember that we are restrained no matter how unfair it is. We got to leave if they show up at the same place. There's going to be some annoying things that happen. Try to act in a way that doesn't encourage a renewal. And if we want to try to terminate it early, make sure you talk to an attorney to figure out if that's even possible. So if you found this useful, please like it, please subscribe. More people get to see it, more people get the help they need, and more importantly, dealing with a restraining order in Washington State, feel free to give my office a call. We're getting pretty good at these, but if we get on board, we'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, we will be there for you. Thank you.